This is Due by Friday, a weekly challenge podcast with Alex Cox and Merlin Mann. This week's challenge, get somebody excited about something.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Alex. How are you?
Oh, a bit frazzled, but
Oh no, why
otherwise...
frazzled? Why frazzled, Alex?
I am tardy to the show. And I just learned that I am saying congruent wrong? Incongruent? Congruent.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to another one of your programs, Reconcilable Differences.
Do you want to try that word again? See if you can get the word I was saying.
Congruent?
Sure. Writing that one down too. Congruent.
Congruent. Incongruency.
Yeah. It's not the right word, but I like the way you say it. That's not the word I was making fun of you saying, but yeah.
I appreciate it.
No, but you kind of ruined the bit.
Oh, how? Well, I've ruined all of the bits, but how this one specifically?
Yeah, but this one particularly you ruined.
Okay. I guess I'm not fast today. Goodness gracious.
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Good.
Oh, how are
you? Good. Great. I'm here. I'm queer and I'm used to it.
Oh, welcome to the family.
Man. What?
Welcome to the Alphabet family.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be acquired, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Everyone, a color of your own crystal.
I'm a unicorn, but not the kind you read about in magazines. Do. Y'all ready for this? The way I did that, it ended up kind of country with the way I was doing it on the 2s and 4s.
Yep, it was. I don't know the nomenclature.
Let me try something a little more 4 on the floor. That's not going to work either. I could do it more like Stuart Copeland. Hi.
Am I going to regret asking who Stuart Copeland is?
Oh, never. So you shouldn't regret that at all. Anyway, I can make sounds with my mouth. Are there any other questions?
Oh,
hello.
It's your show. I am here for your.
You understand? I come in here.
Uh-huh.
If you were to go back and do a supercut at the beginning of many recent episodes, or as you say, many recent episodes, I always try to allow the widest possible expanse for whatever it is that you're bringing with you in a given day. I try not to be ego assertive. I try not to do bits, and I try to go in like as inertly as possible. And it seems to me, I don't have science on this, but it seems to me that no matter how inertly, how openly, no matter what I say, you seem a little freaked out.
Is that a me problem or a you problem?
I don't know if it's even a problem.
Normally.
I mean, it's not keeping me up at night, but like, okay, here's my impression of our show.
Okay, go ahead.
Here's me trying to be able to breathe, and you go, and then I've been waiting over here. Oh my God, I started doing a thing where I just hold the left side of my face open so I can breathe. I actually press the side of my cheek back with the palm of my hand so I can breathe. Anyways, what? Hang on. Here's how.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It better be fucking funny, Alex. It better be fucking funny. If you drag me down into some weird fucking thing while I'm trying to make the show amusing, I'm going to be cross with you.
No, I want to hear the impressions. Okay. Yes.
Oh, okay. So the show starts, and I'm sitting here and doing stuff, and then I hear something like, and that's the sound of you like getting near your microphone and getting all arranged. And
yes, it is.
And sometimes I just wait for you to say something, but a lot of times I'll say something like, I don't know, I feel like I say something like, hello, or hi, Alex, or hello, or whatever. And then your response to a lot of those is, oh. Let me do it again. You go like this, like, oh. Like something's like kind of already back on your heels a little bit. And I've tried to, I don't know another way to do it. But no matter what I say, and then that becomes a question about me and I'm like how I am. So I go, hello. And you go, oh. And then you ask me a question.
Have you ever considered that it's in, It's because I'm in awe of your voice and your presence. And just, it does.
That's not
It
very
puts me
nice.
in
That's
my
not something a
heels.
friend says to another friend.
Why not?
Why would you say that?
Why?
Why are you
I
making
don't
fun of
have
me?
many. I'm not making fun of you.
I have so many friends. I'm just I just show up most of the time and try a little bit, and I really hope that works.
I disagree. I think you try a lot.
I just want people to be happy.
Yes.
I say I want people to be happy. Say again?
I disagree. I think you try a lot. And I
I
think
changed
you...
my pre-PC mix and so I
Oh.
could hear myself more, and now you're quiet. But it's okay. I'll just talk over you like I do.
Mm.
So here we are in Spain.
Mhm.
Hey, you know what I didn't realize until last night? We have a habit on reconcile. I think it's a habit, but a thing we do it when we're done recording with Rec Diffs is just because whatever. At the end I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, and let's look at the calendar and just always we always just double check at the end of the call to make sure we're clear for the next one, or are there any obvious things coming up? Just the kind of thing that I don't know adults used to do, where people talk to each other about arrangements and then you don't have to talk about it anymore. And I go, oh, okay, so let's see. So tonight, Tuesday, October 15th. Let's see. So that brings us by, let me just go up to Fantastical. So I'll be recording on October 29th. And I thought to myself, October 29th. What is it about that day? I thought, is it my ex's birthday? Is it my other ex's birthday? And I thought, oh no, it's the 50th anniversary of my dad's death.
Oh.
They call it gold. Got anything special planned? Not yet. Probably it might be a surprise party. Talk about a surprise party. It's me. Woo. It's me. If you were able to do mathematics, you would know how old I would be. But you're going to have to use ChatGPT. What do you get? You get 30. You get 30 to 90s, 60. I think he'd be 95.
Wow.
Is that possible? Yeah, 90. Is that 95? If it was 29. Yeah, that must be 95.
I would agree with any number you said. I can't do math.
Are you good at arithmetic? Can you do arithmetic off the dome?
Nope. Not even a little bit.
Really?
Nope.
Don't you sometimes have an intuition, though, about roughly what the answer is? Because I don't know. This is the thing I mostly picked up from my kid, because my kid learned arithmetic so much differently than me. And even people just slightly younger than me learned arithmetic, or older than me. Like, there was all these different ways to teach arithmetic. And we talked about this a long time ago. But the way that he learned arithmetic, well, two things, made very little sense to me, right? Like, because he wasn't taught long division the way we do long division. They don't do long division. They do a different thing.
I distinctly remember, like a decade ago, listening to all the podcasters mention how their kids were using new math, and went to look at it, and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Well, okay, that's so interesting, because when I was a kid, there was something called, in the 70s, I'm not a historian of this at all, but when I was a kid, not too long after my father had died, I suppose. But no, in the 70s, there was a thing called New Math, and it was a bit, and people were making jokes about it and stuff, and because it was, it's different from what we now consider a new way of doing at least arithmetic. But yeah, New Math is really confusing. But maybe you heard this on more than one occasion from people like me. It's like, because you talk like a dad, one does, and I was like, I don't know how to help my kid with homework, because the assignment is something I don't understand. And by that, I mean, it isn't like you say, okay, here's a great contrast. Did you ever have to learn your times tables?
Yes.
So that was still a thing in the mid-90s.
Correct. It was going out of fashion, though.
How could you
my
tell?
brother, because my
Oh, I
brother,
see.
a
Tommy.
year later, no, not Cancer. Well, Cancer Boy also didn't have to learn it. But my brother, who was 2 years younger, it was gone. And then none of my other siblings know how to do multiplication except the one who does computers. It's very weird to me.
Maybe. Yeah, it could be. Maybe they're just not good at math. But my kid knows how to do that stuff. But I just want to get out. He did not have to do what I did, and I'm not complaining. It's just for contrast. It's an interesting contrast to a curious person. Is that Mrs. Obel was her name? Miss Obel, Mrs. Obel. Man, Mrs. Obel, Brady's Bits. Mrs. Obel had been in my mother's high school class at Hughes High School, graduating class of 1952. So my mom knew my math teacher, Cincinnati, small town.
Oh, That's very
I think it was
wholesome.
Mrs. Obel. But anyhow,
Actually, I don't know if it's wholesome as much as it is Catholic, because I'm like, oh yeah, my math teacher went to, well, a math teacher.
Hughes
Did you
was
have?
surprisingly diverse. Well, asterisk, asterisk. It was surprisingly diverse given the time. But there were black kids there, and there were a lot of Jewish kids there, and then there were regular white people like my mom.
You've got the regulars over here, the giraffes
Hmm.
over here, and then
So what
the
happened
Jewess.
was it was third grade, and everybody knows what happens in third grade. You learn your times tables, which
Mm-hmm.
is a piece of, I want to say, green paper usually with 100, products or, problems on it. And it was, basically the grid, you know what I mean? 10 across, 10 down, like what, 6 times 7,
Yes.
42, 9 times 7, 63. And you'd take that test every day until you got them all right. And that was the math. That
Oh
was
God.
the
Oh,
class.
that's terrible. Oh,
Hmm.
yikes. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, but like I remembered it. I still remember this. I feel like I remember this so clearly. It was like the 7s were really hard for me, and the 8s were kind of hard for me. And like my mom would flashcard me, and I would always be like 6 times 7 would always screw me up, and 9 times 7 would always screw me up. But my kid didn't have any of that. Learn more of what I have learned is considered a more modern preparation for algebra. With more estimating. So what's weird is my kid
Oh.
couldn't call up 9 times 7 maybe exactly as fast as I could, but was able to do much more interesting things with ruling out, yeah, okay, that guess is too low, this guess is too high. Like within an order or two of magnitude, this is how big that number is likely to be. And I was like, wow, I don't think I ever precisely learned that, which is not saying much because I'm not an arithmetic guy, but it's pretty wild. I guess you're taught something, especially arithmetic. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be clever. I just think it's worth distinguishing between mathematics and arithmetic. I think arithmetic, first of all, is a great word, and it has a meaning. And we're not talking about trigonometry. We're talking about add, subtract, multiply, divide.
Which I think is also somewhat, I guess it's relevant to say the only time I ever heard the word arithmetic was in the like reading and writing arithmetic song. It was
Right.
never
Well,
called
by
that in
your
school.
time, even by my time, arithmetic was not a word. People just called it math.
Yeah.
At that point,
Maths.
Yeah, right. Which is also, it's a good word. But anyhow, that's really good. Prepared for that, and I don't know. And what was I saying about arithmetic and math? Anyways, it's that's the way we learned it, and for better or for worse. But I'll tell you what's interesting, and I probably said this at the time. And I think this is interesting because this is one of those, life can be a little bit complicated type things.
Huh.
So-
Yes. You don't. All right. Yeah.
What'd I do wrong?
Nothing. I'm on my heels in awe. Life is complicated.
Oh, okay. I don't. Am I an
It's
asshole?
not a bit. No,
Okay.
no, it's
Everything's
not
a bit with you. You don't even know if you're
no,
doing
it's
bits. How
not.
can you
No,
say
it's not a
that?
bit because the math
Don't
thing
say you're in
almost
awe of
started
me.
as
That's
a
a terrible
bit.
thing to say.
Why? Because
You
you're
make me sound like an
awesome.
Old Testament God.
Okay. You said that. I didn't.
Well, I'm God. I can say whatever I want. Let me test Job. He seems like a nice guy. I will kill his asses.
Do you know any other any younger kids who are doing math stuff? Because I genuinely find each sort of iteration interesting.
Because it lives alongside things like Common Core. It lives alongside other kinds of changes and developments and, pedagogical developments, but also policy decisions over the years, right? None of that stuff really exists. I mean, unless you're homeschooling, you're weird kid with a bowl cut. Like you're usually bound by all kinds. I mean, you would not believe what the teachers at our school have to go through. It's just crazy. But I do know kids that age, but I haven't talked to them about maths very much. What was the point of Mrs. Obel? Miss Obel?
Who knew your mom?
Yeah.
And
we learned those. I forgot where I was going with the arithmetic stuff. Learning a different thing though. Maybe that relates to it. It doesn't really matter. Gosh, I'm sorry. I lost my thread. Wednesday mornings are complicated for me. Oh yeah. We were going to talk about the different levels. Fuck it. We'll talk about something else.
I want to. You did the weave. You successfully did the weave.
Oh, Alex. Alex, sweetheart, did you watch?
I
Have you?
did. I did.
Okay, look. Can I just stipulate for the record? I don't. I don't like it when we. I don't like it when we talk about Trump stuff, politics stuff, like whatever stuff. And like, I don't know. It's like, it's okay. It's okay sometimes, but I just don't want that to always be the thing I have to talk about somewhere. Because in some fantastical vision of myself, I have the idea that maybe I could bring people an idea that's not the one that's everywhere right now. But I said this to my lady for weeks now. I was like, and I sound like somebody at the Washington Post or New York Times. I'm like, really, you should, if you have an idea in your mind of, let's start with, you have an idea in your mind of like how weird Trump is, which is very weird. I was like, if you've got an idea and you haven't like sort of updated that in a little while, it's worth checking in. You don't have to go like me and get too into everything, but like, we talked about this last week and how he had that one good rally, but before that he had two weird rallies. And I've just been trying to make a case to Madeline and some acquaintances of mine for a while, not for any purpose, but just to say, you may not be as caught up as you think you are on how weird this man can get. And I'm not, again, you'll notice that I'm avoiding saying so many other kinds of things. I'm not saying weird to sound cool. I'm not trying to sound like a cool dad like Tim Walz. I'm just trying to say, like, if you still have an idea of how weird he is that formed in July of 2015 and had some tweaks to it over the next 9 years, it's worth catching up. Just for the hair and the skin, it's worth catching up. But what happened at that Kristi Noem event was really something. How did you, first of all, how'd you discover it? And then how have you consumed it?
I got some, okay, it wasn't.
No, I mean, is somebody send you a
I
link
don't want to
specific...
go into a Twitter thing again, but yes, it was a link to
somebody
Twitter.
Sent you a link to like a specific part of him swaying or something, but it wasn't when you'd found yourself watching or whatever.
No, right? No. I do not go searching for these things, but when they are sent to me, that's why I don't click on things you send me. You shouldn't click on things either, except in this case. Well, I saw it and thought, okay, how long did this go on for? Because the beginning, there was the little dance, and then it still ended with the little dance. It was like a 2-minute clip. And then I decided, all right, well, the event's got to be up now.
It's a shame we're going to lose this in the lights so fast because I
watched the whole fucking thing on YouTube. I couldn't stop.
Oh my God. On I think it was on Nicole Wallace, they started it running at the top of the show and kept it running in the lower right-hand corner with just a count of like, okay, we're getting up 38 minutes. 39 minutes. But I totally agree with you, where it's difficult to explain exactly what and how and the dimensionality of weirdness in this, because there's like up to 6 things about this that were really, really memorable. There's going to be stuff that falls right off the radar screen immediately. Like poor Kristi Noem. Really,
which is not something that I thought I'd say,
Alex,
but yeah,
Alex, not everything.
No, I'm not saying everything is everything, but I couldn't take my eyes off of her for like just
and a weird new face. Yeah,
just you could see the gears turning in her head, like how do I save it? How do I save it? And just we're gonna plug into the cognitive dissonance, and just went with it. Like at what point I wonder, did she decide? I don't know if she ever really went with
it though. Like you could. Okay, so this, and the point I'm trying and failing to make, because we keep grinding on this, is like, it's not, I wanted to set that aside, but as long as we're talking about it, I'm not a big fan of hers, personally, for lots of reasons, but you could see, in my opinion, watching this. So, and if y'all don't know what this is, I'm sorry. It was Bill Does a Town Hall hosted by the governor of South Dakota, and Trump was going to come and answer questions. And there were some problems. There were 2 medical emergencies in the audience because of heat. And it turned into a very odd thing where Trump just asked his people to play music. And then he kind of moved to the music, which is, I mean, like I say, back to the Demoiselles of Avignon. It's like saying it's 5 ladies in a painting. It doesn't really give you a feel for like what all you're in for with this. Because here's the other thing, to your point, I think. Okay, so what I was going to say about Kristi Noem is you can tell she's just trying to figure out how to get through the next 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm. It's wild.
It's not even like you can tell, but she's such a gamer. She's trying so hard to make him look good and to be supportive and to kind of half-heartedly do like her own version of the YMCA dance and all that stuff. But the part that's so ineffable, see if you agree with this, but like, I think the part that's so ineffable to describe it as something where Trump asks people to play a bunch of random weird music, including, by my count, 3 different versions of Ave Maria.
Yep.
And then he just stands there and yes, he sways. Sometimes he boogies. Sometimes he does a little bit of his what did somebody call it, the sunroom shuffle or the sundown shuffle. He does a little bit of what Billy Crystal's character in When Harry Met Sally calls the white man's overbite. But you can't. There's so much about that can only. It's like the difference between hearing about an Andy Warhol movie and watching an Andy Warhol movie or a Kenneth Anger movie. Like if you watch clips, you see clips of a Kenneth Anger movie, but then watch the whole thing. It's like you realize what a different thing that is.
I would go further because dancing is kind of a part of Trump rallies now. It's sort of the way he'll end like a.
I think he knows that people really like it.
Yeah, but this was different. When he does
his little double hand job dance for YMCA, I think people really like it.
Oh, they love it. And it's also, I think, pretty clear that the audience doesn't know if they should actually do the YMCA or if they should just dance, because they're like, well, that's the gay song. Do we do the gay song? But what I mean is this little dance shuffle was very different from a typical rally.
The reason I say it's like Andy Warhol or whatever is like to say to somebody, oh yeah, Andy Warhol did this movie where it's just several hours of a camera pointed at the Empire State Building. And you go, wow, that's pretty weird. But like, when you experience art versus like learn about art, I mean, I realize that sounds obvious, but explaining a painting versus looking at a painting is very different. I could explain this to you, but the spectacle of this man, who, by the way, shots of him, a 3/4 shot of him from the side is really that. You know what? That's where it all is. That's where it all is. You know what I mean? You can see that's where it all is. It's all coming back to him now. No, but if you can imagine like the area of your body where you're like, oh, you want to stretch your back and you put your hands back like kind of above your love handles, that entire area from the top of his rib cage to the bottom of his buttocks is a contiguous quarter of an orange.
It is. I can speak on authority with this. I am not. This is not body shaming people because not unfortunately, but just. Trump and I have had like similar body types, and it's because he has now what appear to be baby bearing hips.
You sound like you're bragging about women when you say that.
How bragging? I'm a big boy. I'm not a wet son. I'm a big bulbous daddy. But like it is truly. This was from the last episode.
Yeah, you know what I'm probably talking about. It's him on the left side of the stage, turning, I think, to talk to her, and he's trying to figure out what's going to happen with this person who might be dying. And of course, whenever I now intentionally, but previously unintentionally stealing these jokes from other people. What a weird bunch of songs to play when somebody's health is in question. Mm-hmm. How would you like to wake up from almost dying and hearing Ave Maria? And then Donald Trump is not exactly dancing. But anyway, let's not talk about his body anymore, except to say that he's a big roly-poly man, and he was up there. But like, it's not even. He does the weird things, and he's trying to be amusing, and he doesn't really seem overly bothered by what's happening and how disruptive it is. Whereas when there's a medical emergency, you can see how uncomfortable he is. If you've ever watched a rally when there's a medical problem, he always
which happened 2 days earlier as well.
Almost everyone at this
true.
Point. And he goes, "Oh, we got an instant. Can we get a doctor, please? Thank you." And then this is the tell. As Nate Silver says, he keeps saying over and over, take your time. Thank you very much. Take your time. I was like, well, yeah, I will take my time. I'm a fucking doctor. Like, thanks for the permission.
Stay safe.
Yeah, but it always comes back to that face. The face he makes, where he makes that kind of like a Benito Mussolini face. And he just looks like he's just a big fat man kind of like reeling left to right on stage. And it goes on for so long, and the songs are so fucking weird. Apparently, this is all the people, the Molly Habermans, etc. of the world all say this is the thing that happens at Mar-a-Lago all the time. I've heard about this where he really loves coming out, and you understand that. Do you know this, Alex? That every time he enters a room at Mar-a-Lago, everyone stands up and applauds, including. Well, no, but like, do you feel that in your bones? Because I'm not just talking about somebody who's visiting from visiting from Conyers, Georgia for the day. I'm saying like the staff, everybody, every time Trump enters a room, everyone stands up and he gets a standing ovation every time he enters or exits a room. Which is not, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure that technically scores 6 points for the he's a fascist side, but it sure doesn't help. And so he's used to that, and he likes to play DJ. Apparently he hogs the aux, where apparently he'll just start playing the songs he plays that get played at his rallies, right? It's like Tiny Dancer, or I had no idea he was so into November Rain.
Oh,
that was so fucking. Nothing lasts forever, even Cold November Rain.
I was disappointed that he didn't go into his Phantom of the Opera bit, because he just loves to talk about how he was there on opening night and does sometimes play it at a rally.
Who's famous for being? I didn't know this until after last week's show. You know who's famous for having been, I think, in Phantom of the Opera?
No.
Sexy Angela Ross.
Oh.
Yeah.
When?
Was the Creatures of the Night or whatever? You got the fucking boat. You got the half mask. That's the handsome guy in the hussar jacket with the frog attachments, frog closures.
Well, that's
yeah,
yeah, frog fasteners that I definitely should have known what those were, because everyone knows a good fastener.
What was it? This is still an unsettled thing, and I don't like to make you look at your mind, but what is it that made you think I was insulting you because you didn't know a phrase that is a phrase? Did I do anything to make you? You got weird about it. And then I said, "Well, it is a thing." And you were like, "Wow, I'm going to do a survey." And it's like, "Well, yeah, but I could do a survey about whether the thing on our highway is called a ramp." But just because people said it isn't,
no, you said it. Well, it is a thing.
Without making sure it's me. Well, it is absolutely is a thing, Alex. It's called you. What is the bit here? Like you just didn't know a word, and that's okay. I didn't pursue making you feel bad about it, but then you basically just shat all over yourself and rubbed it in and said, "Hey, everybody, look at me. I don't know words."
I do.
Look at this genius. This genius thinks he knows about clothes.
I'm smart, not like everybody says. Other people Fredo, right? Right? Everyone's a Fredo.
I got stepped over. We talked about Godfather for like an hour last night on Rick Diffs.
Ooh, I've been avoiding it because I worry. We have I worry that Godfather? I've been avoiding Rick Diffs because while Syracusa respects spoilers, I don't want to hear anything about Megalopolis. I truly just want to go in.
Yeah, that's a good choice. You should do it. But anyways,
I am very excited.
I was proud of myself last night, and because I have nowhere to post anything that people can see. Did you see I made a funny movie last night?
No,
you probably
on Mastodon.
Didn't.
No, I am 2,000 Mastitudes.
No. It's okay. Yeah, but like I was so beguiled by the yeah. Anyway, check it out later. It's pretty funny. I changed the music that he's dancing to, and I regarded it as funny the way it turned out.
Yeah. Is this like a Vic Berger situation? Oh,
if it helps. It could just be what I did, but sure, it's a Vic Berger situation.
I
sit in the corner and type while Tim Heidecker addresses a camera.
Oh, that's
what is that noise for? That's what they do on office hours. Are you confused?
I don't like office hours, and I feel bad. I feel bad now when I don't like things.
Yeah.
Why is that a thing? I shouldn't feel bad if I don't like a thing.
I don't know. I just can't even imagine what you feel right now. Oh my God, it's all so confused. Go ahead.
Oh, I feel like. I can talk.
Don't say latency. It's not latency. You're just
not
weird.
Latency.
No. Just because you're weird, but I'm really nice about it.
Yes.
Yes. You there?
Oh God.
You didn't want to get spoiled on Vic Berger.
No, I don't want to be spoiled about Megalopolis because it is, I think, something very special from everything I have heard all against my will. The experience you had.
He is always pushing you around one way or another.
I'm really excited to go to a
just
theater.
Not look at it, but then it says, read me.
Like you, people hand me
Like me.
things. I get links,
Yeah, but I
and
don't look at them when people hand me things.
I
Everybody knows this. All I get sent so many things from people, and the URL is x.com. And I try to say to them, I can't see it. I can't
that's very exciting.
see it. Yeah, it's
Mm.
hilarious. Boy, you can prank me.
I didn't say it was
Look what
hilarious.
I
I
almost
said it was
stepped in.
exciting
Yeah,
because no,
yeah.
no, it's not
Anyway,
hilarious.
he's very heavy, and
Uh,
you could say he sways, but he also, it's more of how do you describe it? It's a lateral, not a side to side. No, how do I describe this? Sorry, he does more of like a circular rotation, right?
oh,
But like where he does like this like 16th of a circle, sort of like turn from side to side while he stands there thinking he looks like Mussolini.
I, I was gonna ask, what do you imagine is going on in his head, or do you just not ponder that question at all? Because I just have to. I just want to know.
You mean
Just
like in that case, or just in
yeah.
general?
In that case, because I'm sure a different type of day, a different time of day, it's all over the place. But just in that moment, swaying back and forth.
I mean, it's a good question. It's a good question, and there's ways in which I think I and a lot of people are like him. I've never tried to put this into words, but you ask a good question, and I'm gonna try. For myself, I go through a lot of the day, whether I like this or not, good day, bad day, like whatever. I am having this constant, not con- I don't make it sound like I'm afflicted, but I do have an ongoing sort of unconscious sort of inner, not a monologue exactly, but how can I put this? I'll get excited about something, or I'll get motivated. I'll get the energy, the enthusiasm to do something, and sometimes I work on that. I think he oscillates between fairly erratic thoughts that he doesn't realize are heavily based on emotions, and then another voice tells him that that's how he should be, and he should pursue that. And he creates a positive feedback loop with his internal dialogue, I guess, where he's always, I mean, but all of that's still overseen by Fred Trump's voice in his head, that like he's never going to be good enough. So, and that's why we've joked since 2015, 16 about the thing where he realizes he's misspoken and tries to cover it up by saying both words separated by the word "and." Like, he's aware that he makes errors sometimes. It's just the way that his mental autocorrect works is he memory holes anything that he's done very, very quickly, but you also can't escape it. And the Voice of Fred title is always still up there going
Oh,
like, oh, no, you did, once again, buddy, you really, you didn't get it this time, you know? I don't know if that makes sense, but like, I know, like, that is a similar battle to like all kinds of like my most basic energy and executive function battle, which is like I have chemical fucking problems that make it difficult for me to do in certain ways, and I will try and address that in ways that I can address that, but sometimes that's complicated. So like if I had way too much speed, like on some days in the past, like I'd be kind of a bummer to be around, and I wouldn't actually get a lot done. You get too little and I sleep for 16 hours, and it's so like, but now take that and make it about, am I doing a good and interesting thing right now? Anyway, I wonder sometimes if he, because part of what helps us get, or allows us to get through the day in a lot of ways, is to kind of develop this practice of constantly rejecting a thought we don't want to have, in one way or another, and then developing these infrastructures that like support that. And he's definitely, I feel like, kind of done that. Look no further than like, does he surround himself with people who are constantly questioning him? And it's like, well, no, the way you move up in this organization is by not only constantly agreeing with him, but by undercutting the people who agree with him not as much. And you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have aren't many externalities in his life that cause him to reassess how he looks at the world. And then sometimes we get a little view of that. We get a little view into like, oh, he's still got, I think this is actually not my favorite. Lawrence O'Donnell said this about, like, you can almost imagine him like standing on the periphery at a disco in 1978, watching people who actually can dance to YMCA. And there's an element of that of like, I think one reason he likes those songs is because I've always heard, my ex used to say that people in general, women in particular, tend to keep the hairstyle that they had when they were happiest in life.
Oh,
like
fuck.
that's why you see old people with beehives, is because that's a time when they were happy and felt pretty. And like, I think that's a time that he would like to believe he was happy and pretty. I don't know. I mean, that's part of it. Why do I listen to Pixies? They don't, that record came out 40 years ago. Why are you listening to that? Well, it's a really good record, and it's from a time that I was excited about music, etc. I don't know if this is making sense, but he
well, it
I think I think he likes being up there, and it's like his triple dip cream dream, because he gets to stand there while a bunch of God, I want to put this delicately, fucking morons stand in 100-degree heat to watch him sway gently from side to side to a Rufus Wainwright song.
So weird. I have to imagine,
but the face, you know what I'm saying? The face that he makes is very, yeah.
That's why I wonder if he is aware of all of the things that you just mentioned currently. But then you stated something that I think
he goes
is
so
obvious
straight into. It's like there's some kind of not a governor or I don't know the word I'm looking for. I'm thinking of like something like valves, but there's some kind of cutover that happens, almost like compression in audio. Something, as soon as he starts to feel a feeling that he doesn't like feeling, it cuts over to anger, like with so many men. It cuts over to anger, and anger takes over, and then that gets to run the day. And sometimes that'll propel him to his next positive emotion as well, because he really likes seeing other people fail if it makes him look like he won. Anyway, it's a little late in the game to get too far into his psychology, but I'm not going to get over this until I send it to you. And this will not make any fucking sense. I think it's like 14 seconds long. Can I ask you to look at it?
Yes, please.
This is a band from Chicago that was popular in the 80s.
All right, here we go. Let me get it loading.
Let me get it big.
Oh, yeah, big. All right, I'm going to do 3, 2, 1, play. Okay, I'm gonna play it over the. Hold on. I'm gonna start over.
Nice and loud. Turn it up louder. We want a little action.
Just like the idea of Donald Trump swaying to Stigmata by Ministry for a few minutes. Thank you.
Wait, I gotta
Thank
see
you.
it out. Thank you.
Thank you. I love when he mouths thank you to people. Thank you.
Yes. He does this weird thing too now. Well, you've seen all of this. We're so deep. I didn't want to. That's a lie. I think I have a Trump lie in place where I don't want to talk about Donald Trump, but I have put the infrastructure in place where it'll happen whether I want it to or not.
The talking or the thinking?
Well, both. Both. I don't know. It's like
keep talking, Alex. It's okay. You keep talking about the thing you want to talk about. It's okay. Over.
Oh, there you are. You are back. It's just.
Oh my God! What is happening? Hey, real talk. Do you think it is actually a bandwidth latency problem?
I do.
So I can check my usual suspects.
It might be me. Can I go restart my router? All right. Call you back. Hello. Hopefully that does something. And by that, I mean restarting my Eero and modem.
Tired.
It is 11:40 for you there. Yes.
Yes.
What is like your awake time? Do you know what I mean? Like I'm ready to leave the house.
What would we talk about if I shared that with you? Where would you like to take that in this visit we have?
I was going to I was just trying
Your
to get
response
to the
so far, your
challenge.
response so far is a pretty good indication of why I'm asking.
I'm interested in the first time you interact with another person outside your immediate family.
Right,
Whether
right.
that be over
Like in a way that requires like actual attention, or just like the first time I
Yes.
see what somebody else said.
actual attention, but in real time, not watching anything.
I don't know. I mean, I for whatever reason, I'm rarely woken up by another person. I don't know. I mean, it varies. I mean, I wake up, sometime in the morning, and then, sometimes I like to take the bath a lot,
In
because,
the morning. Interesting.
oh my God.
That is okay.
Oh my God. Is
Is
that the
not
show you want to
interesting?
make? Merlin talks about taking a bath. Is that the show you want?
Today maybe you're a bath enthusiast.
I learned so much about myself from you.
You're
I don't know. I get up and, sometimes there's people and other times there's not. And yeah, I mean, then eventually I go to sleep and I'll die,
No,
pretty
yeah.
soon probably.
No, don't.
Everybody dies.
So they say.
Who are
Don't.
they? They're the ones that control the weather?
Yeah, those other gods that you commune with.
The old gods or the new?
I
swear by both.
The new. Oh, just to keep your bases covered, or
Well, it's just that if somebody in Westeros is threatening my life, it's become my habit to swear by the old gods and the new that I'll do whatever they want me to say to not get killed, or to lose my right hand, because that's my dueling hand. If you know what I mean.
no, I do not. No.
Oh,
no,
it could be a masturbation joke, but I was referring to Jamie
no,
Lannister,
no.
because it would be a duel with yourself if you think about it.
Yeah. Oh.
You're a
Is
dirty
this the
boy
show
down
you want to
there.
make, Merlin? Is this the show you want to make?
I show up utterly inert. I am a tabula rasa every time I show up here, and I'll just.
I don't believe that.
Okay,
I
you're
don't.
like an alligator just dragging me down to your meat locker.
The
Mom, mom.
oh,
Mom.
hot.
Oh. Meat locker.
Yeah.
You like that?
I mean, there.
No, that's a place that would play YMCA.
Yes,
you guys doing that?
exactly.
You go to the meat locker?
Yeah, that's a place where baths would happen too.
Ministries from Chicago, they had a big change in their sound around 1986.
The video.
Al
the
Jorgensen.
song.
Yeah, that's when they came back super hard in techno, and before that they were much more there's a term we can't use anymore, and it's such a good term. It's a more like kind of sort of like dancey goth music. Have you ever heard that song Every Day is Halloween? You ever heard that song?
No.
Oh, it's like it's the sound of going to clubs and smoking clove cigarettes to me. Dun 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 bop beep bop 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 beep bop. You know that song?
No,
Why
and I want to
can't
know the
they
word.
see they're just like me? It's the same. He's from Chicago. It's the same in the whole wide world. Bop beep bop 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 beep bop beep bop bop bop. Al Jorgensen was the fella's name.
What's the word?
Grease.
Is it worse than midget? Is it worse than?
Oh, it's just the same. Well, it's a kind. So like there'd be a kind of dancing. Whew. This is it. This is gonna be it for me. This is where it ends. It's kind of dancing that everybody used to do, and I would be better. I could really show it to you, even at my age. I could show it to you. I could emulate it. So imagine me. There's some song in the background going bop beep bop and bop 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 beep or whatever, and like so I'm there. I'm wearing probably some like black clothes and maybe some lace, and I got like fingerless gloves and a lot of like Robert Smith hair or whatever, or maybe like more an asymmetric cut. And you do this thing where now imagine you're standing erect. Now your arms go slightly back. Now imagine bending backwards just a little bit, right? At first, because I don't want you to fall over while you're trying to do this. Do it while you're seated.
All right. Yep.
So you're bending back and your head is kind of going up and you're kind of like into the music, but your arms are back. And the more into the music you are, the more you're kind of bending backwards until you almost look like half a question mark. And you have a clove cigarette in your finger dangling and your arms are like behind you. And we would call that art fag dancing.
That's
Because those are art fags. That's what they were called.
Yes, I have heard the term art fag.
I
know art fag.
I was there,
but
you
I've
guys.
never
You
heard
people who are fucking 20 that want to castigate me. I did not watch my friends die face down on Tuesday New Wave nights to have to confront you about what things were actually called in the 1980s.
Okay.
I'm a veteran.
No, I
No.
think I hate it. Every art fag would be honored that you are mentioning art fags.
Sometimes they'd wear
but
hats.
Now I'm questioning because I know of folks who
You're
self-identify as.
Had you ever heard that term before? I realized, and by the way, I do apologize.
I didn't know there was a dance.
That's a word that I stopped using because I know it's not a nice thing to say, and I was not trying to disparage any kind of queer people. That's literally what the term was, and but it's also a very funny term. If you've got half a heart and half a brain, smack them together and realize how funny it was to use that word in 1985. It's a very funny word.
It is, and I didn't know though that was a dance.
His name is for a woman, for the single woman, the one woman who hangs around with a group of those folks.
We call them homo honeys now.
Oh, yours is way better than mine. Because mine rhymes with the F word.
Yes, it's got quite a rhythm to it as
FH?
well. Yeah. And they self-identified.
But again, I just want to be clear. Do you imagine, you people out there who are, I guess you've mostly finished college, so you've got it all figured out. You hear me and you think, my goodness, Merlin seems like he's usually like a pretty nice guy. He's a little bit, he's tried to stay woke, but like, oh my gosh, why would he say such an ugly thing? And I just want to be super clear. This is what everyone said back then. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but do you realize how weirdly dishonest it would be? Let me put it a different way, young people. What if I just started arbitrarily saying to you, there are memories of things that you have that don't exist anymore? Those things that were part of your life, I'm going to very carefully excise the things that I think are dangerous to society or to you personally. And you're just not allowed, you're kind of allowed to remember it, but you're never allowed to say it.
Okay.
Because that really hang on.
Okay,
because
right.
that kind of sounds a lot like some bad situations that are out there where we tell people what didn't happen.
As Logan Roy would say, I don't think those are serious people or really self-aware people. And
That'll help. Knowing that is helpful. Thank you.
Well, what would be helpful?
All of you people making my life miserable, quit it because I've regarded you as not serious.
Do real people say
boppy,
this?
boppin', bop, bop, boppy, boppy, boppin', bop, bop, boppy, boppy. Digga. Challenge. The challenge this week is to get somebody excited about something.
Yes. What did you... Sorry, I keep thinking about... My mom can't say queer. Like, it makes her so uncomfortable to say queer. I think it is important because at her point, it was bad.
Hey, look, here's the good news. The good news is I'm glad that there are at least a handful of people who still do care in some way about language and the power it has to do more than just communicate, right? It's exciting to me that there is at least somebody out there who does care. Because I feel like day to day, I encounter a lot of people who are like, language, whatever. It doesn't really have that much of a role in our life and how we deal with other people, unless you say something that they think is one of the bad words that has never existed. You've memory hold a certain phrase and therefore it never existed. And so now, how could you tell stories about your life if you had to limit yourself to what strangers had decided was acceptable vocabulary today? How would you go about talking about your life in an authentic way? Because, like I say, that's pretty close. If you look at it from a certain angle, that's close to a lot of really weird shit that institutions do to people.
Mm-hmm. I think that this is a cultural phase that we're going to look back and be embarrassed about.
I think it's mostly extremely positive. It's just, hey, you know what? Care about a different word. Like, how about you care about some of my words, you guys? How about costly and expensive? When's the last time you went to the mattresses about that? You fucks. Challenge this week was to get somebody excited about something. And what did you do, Alex? What did you do for the challenge? Because I'm sure you did something for the challenge.
I did. I even put on
Did you do it this morning?
No. Right away, I was trying to get Matt specifically, because I don't have a ton. My
Hello.
spouse's name is Maddie. He doesn't listen to the show unless I say Merlin was funny, and then he likes the show. But I was like, all right,
that's
I'm
not
gonna
true. I know
get-
the real truth. I know the real truth. I
What
know the real
is the
truth.
re-
I've
what is the real
heard
truth?
Matt's remarks. Matt is a tough listener.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Matt has a mind of his own.
Yes. That is.
Yes.
That's true. That's not news to me. He will get.
Do you think it's damaging when I say something like that? When you say that somebody has a mind of their own, do you think that somehow it's meant to be insulting on my part?
No. Am
No.
I like the very old person who's like, that's fine to say? Is that bad to say that someone has a mind of their own? I think he.
No,
would
I don't
agree.
mean it negatively. I mean that Matt has, like a lot of people that I really super like and respect, will surprise you sometimes with his opinion about something, not completely like out there, like eating babies is cool or whatever, but just more like, Matt has a strength of conviction to things that he believes that I respect, and he also he's not easily swayed by charm, which I really like.
Oh, yes. He has some absolutely terrible opinions.
Well, I don't know if our listeners would know that, Alex. In some of the occasional conversations I've had to have with Matt, that's how he came across to me.
Yes? I
What's
feel
the
like
problem here?
nothing.
Why is everything a problem?
Nothing.
Why can't you just say thank you, you
Yes,
fucking whore?
thank you. Yes, thank you, you fucking whore.
What kind of dancing do you do? Beep, bop, 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 bop,
Oh,
bop, bop.
God. I really wanted to see Megalopolis as I mentioned, but every time I say Megalopolis, I question whether or not I'm saying it correctly, and that's not important. But there was no Megalopolis.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because you're not allowed in the theater unless you pronounce it right.
Megalopolis. Okay, at Alamo Drafthouse this week, there
Spanagram.
wasn't the app was broken. Like specifically in Chicago, our Alamo Drafthouse.
Oh no, so you had to interact with someone?
No, you would have
Oh, no.
you'd have to say the name of the movie. That did not actually prevent me from going, but it is October.
Well, I mean, it's even less weird than working at a porn shop. They're used to people coming in and asking for the movie that's playing. I think they're probably, for example, might be stranger if you went in and said, for example, The Magnificent Seven, and then they would say, well, that's a really good movie, but that's not playing here right now. And you went, did I pronounce it wrong? What's that new Francis Ford Coppola movie? Is it Magnificent Seven? And they say, no, you're thinking of Seven Samurai. And I said, no. I think you're getting confused about the influences. And they said, well, did you know that Star Wars was very influenced by the films of Kurosawa? And you said, I'm not here to see a Kurosawa movie. I'm here to see Seven Samurai. And they say, did you not know that is a Kurosawa movie? And you say, did you not know that I cannot pronounce Megalopolis?
You're describing what
I
would be a
am.
literal nightmare for me. Like I'm about to
This is why
wake
I love
up
Monty Python.
over sweat.
This is that in a nut is why I first fell in love with Monty Python, is like the kind of meta language stuff. That's John Cleese, or I think it was
Wait,
John
give me an
Cleese.
example. I'm
A guy who makes a guy in a suit and tie who goes out because he's decided he wants to have an argument. And so he goes to an office because he's heard that you can go in there and pay money and have an argument with somebody. It's called the Argument
not
Clinic.
seen this.
Okay, it's pretty good. So basically, Eric Idle shows up at this place, and at first he's in the wrong place. He accidentally went into the office where you get insulted, and he ends up going to the room where John Cleese is. He goes in. Is this where I can have an argument? And it opens. All you need to know, it opens with John Cleese looking up from his desk, kind of frustrated, and saying, "I've already told you once." And he goes,
Okay.
No. Do you understand? Like, he hasn't
Yes.
told him once. And he says, well, no, you didn't tell me. He goes, yes, I most certainly did. I most certainly told you this is where you get an argument. And then he says, well, do you want to pay for the 5-minute argument or the full half hour? And he says, why don't I start out with 5 minutes? He says, okay, very, very, very good. Okay. So anyway, I most definitely told you that this is, and it says, well, wait a minute. Like, you can't just argue about whether or not we're having an argument. He says, yes, I can. And he goes, an argument is not, and I'm just doing this from the memory, but an argument is not just the automatic gainsaying of whatever the other person said. And he goes, yes, it is. And that's the bit. The bit is that he keeps arguing with him. And then he goes, thank you. And he goes, wait a minute, that's the end? And he goes, yeah, he says, that was never 5 minutes. And he goes, yes, it was. So he's like, wait, are you arguing with me on the clock now or off the clock? Yeah, and that's the bit. I love stuff like that. Or Biggles dictates a letter, the source of our wonderful bit about the antlers. Because John Cleese, who is kind of a bad person, but is extremely funny. John Cleese is the first one I ever, he's had so many smart things to say about Monty Python. I know he's not probably a particularly nice person, but he's kind of a genius. But one of the things he said at least I remember hearing him say a long time ago was, I can't get anywhere near what he said, but then, a lot of the humor of that team, the shows that they've done, the things that they do are basically just about how fraught human communication is, how difficult it is to communicate with other people. And I always think about that when I'm watching Monty Python, because on some level, not everything. I mean, some of it's just like, it's hilarious that you've hired someone to like surprise your cat. It's very funny that somebody would come out to your house with a truck full of stuff to like amuse your cat. And that's like, there's stuff, but a lot of the stuff does, or think of something like Spanish Inquisition, which is funny in execution, but even funnier in premise to me, which is that a coal miner like runs in and said, trouble down the mill, skew's gone off the treadle. And with this like Northern English accent, his wife's like, what are you saying? And then Graham Chapman goes into his received pronunciation, Oxbridge. He says, there's trouble down at the mill. The treadle's gone out of skew. It's like, I came in here, I wasn't expecting a kind of Spanish Inquisition. And that's when they burst through the door and they start the Spanish. And nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. This is playing on just so many wonderful ideas about how we think and how we communicate and what words mean. Did you ever see Life of Brian?
No. Even if you didn't do this challenge, you're getting me excited about the Monty Python things.
My God, thank you so much. Oh my God. I had a way to fake it that I'd done this challenge, but now I feel like I have. There's one of many wonderful scenes in Life of Brian, which is basically, it's about the story of the life of Jesus, but it's told by a guy who's kind of mistaken for Jesus, a guy named Brian, and who doesn't want anything to do with being the savior. And his mother says he's a very naughty boy. But but there's a great bit in Brian where he and his mother, they go see the Sermon on the Mount, and they're like, okay, let's go to the stoning. Because, bread and circuses, one way we amuse the people is that we stone people who are like blasphemers or enemies of the state, right?
Yeah, thing is, women aren't dance, yeah. Or dance
women aren't allowed to go to the stonings. So there's all of these obviously, it's actors, men dressed as women with obviously fake beards who've brought stones to throw at people. And it's really, really funny. And so there's this guy, they're about to stone him. But first John Cleese, as the Pharisee or whatever, has to read the thing. And he's like, he's being sentenced to being stoned to death because he took the name of our Lord in vain. Right. And the condemned man says, I wasn't taking his name in vain. I just had my wife had made a lovely piece of halibut. And I just wanted to say that I think it was good enough for Jehovah. And out of the audience, a rock comes and hits the old man in the head. And John Cleese goes, who did that? Who did that? The stoning doesn't start until I say that it starts. Anyway, it's really funny because now you're getting into the actual meaning of the term, like sort of like performative statement, which is like, I've declared like you will die now. But you have to do it like everybody, the women. Are there any women here? No. It's really funny. But that's the meta. It's like it's both meta and about language. It's,
this would be a good starter playlist of good Monty Python sketches.
It's hard to know where to start. That would be one. That's like Sloane for me, where it would be really challenging because I don't know what level I would want to take it at. You know what I mean? Like it's because, I don't know why I always come back to thinking about Buffy, but I guess Star Wars is another kind of thing where it's like, well, on one basis for an old guy, you'd say, oh, if you're interested in Star Wars, just go watch the 1977 movie. It's like, well, okay, but like if it's a young person, is there a chance that Clone Wars, the wonderful animated show, might actually be better? Or if it's for somebody who likes really good movies and is kind of turned off by Hollywood spectacle, that person might like Andor to start out. You know what I mean? And the same thing with Monty Python. Like, what am I going to say? Oh, go watch The Holy Grail 3 times a day like I did?
I mean, I think a lot of people have started with Holy Grail and then gone in.
It helps that it was on TV. Like, it was on like HBO a lot when I was a kid.
Really?
I think that's where my friend taped it. Yeah. I changed friend groups at one point. I had done a lateral friend change title. And my friend Todd, his family had HBO for a while.
Was there a reason for the change? You noted lateral, which I find interesting. Like there was no up or down.
I mean, it's pretty complicated and sad and not that interesting. But my first girlfriend and I broke up, and then I got a crush on this other girl, and she liked me, and we liked making out a lot. And then I kind of moved in with her friend group, which was her and my friend Todd, who is the most gay, least out man I've ever known at the time.
That's not funny. That's
see, now
sad.
I can't. No, he was my best friend. So sorry, but like I can't even impersonate Todd because he was so hilarious. He's like, I swear to God, I'm losing my fucking mind. I'm like, my dad brought the car back without any gas in it. I'm fucking losing it.
Oh, I might have a new favorite Todd.
Oh my God, I love Todd so much. And then, Todd came out, and Todd, last I heard, he was still with his husband of many years in Highland Park.
Oh, good. Oh, by me.
I went to visit him one time. While I was there, I bought a guitar, 1988. That's a true story.
In Chicago?
Yep.
Oh. What kind of guitar?
Yep. Big Shoulders, Rickenbacker 12-string, like the one that Tom Petty has on the cover of Damn the Torpedoes.
I don't know what that is, but it's gonna
the
be
Rickenbacker you probably know is a 660 or a 330. You might know the Rickenbacker that like is the one that like John Lennon played or the Byrds played.
Yes.
There's one that's usually a 6-string. It depends. It could be 660, or 330. But anyways, Chicago, hell of a town. Had a great time. Went to the Loop.
Yeah.
Chicago. Anyways, I think the way that we struggle with communication is for many more reasons than I could ever begin to get into because I have to like prepare, but like it's a really big the reason I find Monty Python funny ends up also being a reason that I think life is so interesting. At least life in Western culture that as I live it is very interesting, which is like how often do John Siracusa and I argue or fake argue about like what a word means or different meanings of words. And like we do little bits about that. And I pretend that I don't know that words have different meanings. And like, but like one of my great secret joys in life is verse. Like I love language qua language. I love language just as a device. I don't need to understand the plot of Blood Meridian to enjoy reading it. Like there's just something intoxicating to me about words. There always has been. But like when you pair that then with, on the one hand, the slightly more academic ideas in semiotics and structuralism, but then also look at just the practical component of like how we struggle, you and I, it's a bit, right? But not a bit. Like we struggle so hard to communicate sometimes, and we find a way to hopefully make it funny by turning it into a bit, but we all struggle every day to say the things that we mean or to like understand what other people want. And we're all so bound up, so hidebound in these old ideas that like we imprinted on as very young people, and our language hasn't evolved, and that's complicated. And I think that's super interesting.
I come at it from a different angle with the obsession that I've kind of I got people excited about this with how we communicate with animals. Stay with me, because
I'm glad you said that.
The idea that we anthropomorphize machines, obviously, okay, we get it. LLMs aren't people, I know, but I get a little bit frustrated.
You mean in all kinds of ways, not just how we would name it, but also then how, like you're saying specifically about how there's a tendency to like want to interact with a computer as though kind of you talk to it like it's a person a little bit, even though you know it's not that.
Right. And the same will often go for animals, especially our pets. And Maddie gets very frustrated with this because he is a dog trainer. So obviously it's like, your dog doesn't understand the word no. You need to connect to these
Cesar
things.
Millan says exercise, discipline, and then affection. And I know that he's not problematic at all. So you could just tell Matt that if it helps his career. I'll do it again because I'm going to do the voice. Exercise, discipline, and then affection. I'm making him a little more Spanish. I hope that's okay.
You're,
See, I could go full on like Bardem with him. Exercise. No, that sounds Russian.
Yeah, no, that
accents.
doesn't. You're. I like the idea of a Russian dog trainer with Caesar.
Russian
Millan.
dog, like a Saluki?
No, like a.
What do you call it?
I mean, with a Russian dog trainer, because there are many German dog trainers throughout history who have, not controversial methods at all, but they're quite successful.
German
Like a
Shepherds
little
are smart.
Stalin dog. Yeah, they are very smart. There's
There's a YouTube channel where they have three German Shepherds and they feed them foods and they do like reviews based on how much the dog liked the food. They go and they gobble it up. And then one of the dogs is eating the egg a little slower than the other two, and the other two kind of turn and look at him a little bit. It's really cute.
Oh.
Matt's a dog trainer and speaks
Yes.
and also speaks languages.
Well,
to people.
Hold on.
Communicates, talks.
I didn't think I
Moves,
was.
dances.
I've said on this show that I didn't think people were into cats until the internet, and I meant that
say that.
I meant that cats had a very specific reputation for being surly and just kind of off-putting to some people.
You're born
And
in
then-
1990. You became an adult in 1998, and
Yes.
you're stipulating that just for our
I'm
for
not
our
saying
audience.
that I'm right. I'm just saying that is
Yeah, neither am I.
the
funny enough.
feeling that
You get the feeling that before that, cats had a very specific what?
a very specific reputation of being kind of aloof and it just
You don't think that's part of the internet appeal?
but the internet appeal is the just kind of unhinged nature of cats because we didn't really domesticate them. They just kind of happened because we didn't.
I wish somebody would give you a course to teach.
No.
A course on what you ask?
This is-
Exactly.
Exactly.
I would just like somebody to see something on their schedule. At first, they think it's just a scribble that somebody has made on the printout, and you're like, no, it's a very unusual course. They're like, what time is it? We're like, we're not sure, but it'll probably be 45 minutes later. And when you get there, it's going to be kind of a lot, and
Quarter
it's one of
till
those things
after.
where like it's like entering the dojo. There's not an easy way to be accepted at the dojo. You're gonna have to like get through a lot. And I see that being you could present it as what looks like it's going to be a module of say 7 to 14 weeks, but then it turns out it's a class that never ends, and you never really leave.
I
hate
believe
it.
No.
No.
But
No.
Cats just sort of happened
Oh, right.
to
Cats
us.
happen.
Cats happened to us because we found these little creatures that were useful at killing vermin, and it was like, oh, all right, we'll keep you around. And
I
then
thought that was the SS. And then in which case that would be like dogs, probably, right? But it's
wait.
true though. Like sometimes if you watch like videos again like YouTube of like animals doing what they exist for, at least from a certain standpoint, it is pretty wild.
Yeah,
Have you ever
and
watched
that's the
videos of like sometimes it's dogs, but sometimes it is cats. Here's like my 5 cats just dealing with rats in the barn, and it's the craziest thing you've ever seen. You're like, oh, this is really what cats are like. This
Exactly.
is
That's
nuts.
the internet thing. That's why they are so much more interesting because we see how they act without humans around, and the way they communicate with each other is really fucking freaky. Like all of the little
Do they leave
chirps that are
notes?
cute in video. Okay, they do leave
like
gifts.
hobo signs.
They leave gifts for people sometimes. If
Sure.
there's some theories around if like your cat, cats obviously.
It could be like a dead bird or a DVD.
Yeah. Well, like, but if a cat puts
What do you got in your mouth? Is that a DVD of Fight Club?
Not everything is everything. Fight Club. You don't understand Fight Club.
Things you won't start on you. You shouldn't be talking. Neither should you. I love that story. What a great story that would be. Neither should you. Because it's got a Fight Club DVD in its little mouth. Big stretch.
Oh God, I didn't want to successfully. This episode was not about LLMs, which is the main thing I try to get Maddie excited about all the time, and it's kind of working. Fortunately or unfortunately for him,
Jesus Christ.
but I know.
No, really, seriously, you like keep at it? Isn't that maddening to him?
Mm,
Because like if he's established, I'm sorry, it's none of my business, but if he's established a baseline of view as like I'm just not into this. Like I have accepted that Madeline will tolerate a little bit of Taskmaster when she's in the room, but I have not had any success because I keep thinking she'll like it, but it's really not her kind of thing. It's really, I guess it's my thing. But like she's okay with it being on in the room, but I can feel a little bit of pushback in the whole like, like, oh, but pay a lot of attention. This part's really funny.
oh,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
And it feels disrespectful just for myself. It feels like kind of tone non-hearing for me to keep pursuing that when I know it's not her thing. Or Monty Python, for that matter, that's another great example.
I mean, I tried
Constantly
that for the
talking
longest.
about Monty Python, like so many of us did, where it's like it's the shibboleth or the secret language for like a whole bunch of people. Probably Tolkien in a similar way, like you. But like nobody wants to be told about Tolkien again.
Matthew does not want to be told about I Think You Should Leave, which is why I don't know it as well as you, because that's something that he does not want to hear in the background.
That's sickening. What about, and is that also the reason why you don't know Chris Fleming as well as you should?
No, yeah, he is like.
I think he doesn't like to laugh.
Roberts.
I think it's time for a huge partner swap amongst all my friends, which is I think Ari and I should live. John's daughter's mother partner, and I should get together because we like talking about what that guy on TV is from. I think that's why we should be a couple.
Mm-hmm.
I think Matt. I'm trying to figure this out. Matt could go with a whole bunch of people. I think my wife and Syracuse should get together just because neither of them likes
they
me.
would have a lot to talk
Well, neither
about.
of them likes me, and I feel like they could really find some things to build on there. And and they care about like weird normal people shit that I don't care about, so they get along great.
I do that often with
Tina likes to be cool.
Mm-hmm. And
I like
Tina
cool.
plays Pokemon Go, so I mean,
you know
we
what?
wouldn't even need to talk to each other.
This is such an interesting and upsetting like SAT problem, or like one of those puzzles. You're riding on a train. There's a man with a yellow hat. Somebody else is stabbing somebody. This guy can't fit in the room. How many stops before you get to Transylvania? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Chicken, grain, rowboat.
Oh my God. No.
No?
Okay, and so yeah, I do not think that you should constantly berate your partner into getting into something unless that happens to be a thing that could be many, many different things.
Sometimes it works, and if you do it contextually right, it's just that it's the repeated part that I think I could get better. This is again apropos of our challenge. That's something I could get better at. Is like it's just because I will it because I want it. Where I'm like, God, it would be so fun if you would love this thing as much as I do. But the truth is, Madeline and I are very different people in certain ways, and one of those ways is like the way that we let's just leave it at this: watch TV is very different. Like actually, I had a realization about this. I kind of want to share.
Yes.
I think. The joke that's not a joke where I'm always like, oh, my fucking family is always looking at their phone. The three of us are lined up on the couch, like the three little bears, right? And I'm like very intently, like it's time of day. Like, let's say it's hang time and we're having dinner and we watch TV. Like that is the time of day when I am most in need of some kind of palliative care for my ADHD, which again, now this will show you how much you know about Lisa Merlin's ADHD. Does that mean I want to watch like Roadrunner cartoons? No. This is the time where I might want to watch something funny, but I really want to watch something absorbing around 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. Like by the time we get to 9 o'clock, that's not when I'm gonna pull up Criterion Channel and watch a Tarkovsky movie or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Like, do you know what I mean? And like,
oh yeah,
but like it's like to me, like I love stuff. Which this is probably the only thing that bums me out about this. Funny idea that I only ever start things and I don't watch things and I don't pay attention, which is true for some things, and it is a funny bit, so it's okay to, but use it advisably because it gets annoying. That's not really how I am. The truth is I love disappearing into things. Love it, love it, love it. And like that's unfortunately for me, I'm going somewhere with this. around the time that I do kind of want to like not only get way into watching something like Game of Thrones, which is one of my disappear into shows, but I can tell the kid likes it a little bit, and Madeline loves it. But like we're where are we now? Well, I've jumped around a lot, but now we just got past Reigns of Castamere. We're in second, third episode of season 4. Again, terrific run, and I'm like, and this is like where Ramsay Snow, at this point, Ramsay Snow has Theon, up on the thing.
Oh,
And you've got,
yeah.
and like Sansa is still being passed around to all these different terrible men. I think the next episode is the wedding of the wedding of Joffrey and Marjorie. And like, I'm so into watching that. I'm so into like, and I'm like, Madeline, the guy who just sold Daenerys. Did you know that he was Javert in an old version of Les Mis? Like, that's Roger Allam. He's also in V is for Vendetta. He's fantastic. And she's like looking at her phone. And I'm so fucking annoying. My kid looking at his phone. But you know what I realized? Like, there's a term when you have a baby and you get your little babies. You get 3 or 4 little babies together. You have something called play group. And a thing that you have in the early days when babies are just stupid and can't do anything, you just call it parallel play, which is as the kids develop and get a little older, they're playing by themselves together. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
You're not really, it's not like you're having any of those things you'd see on a TV show. They're not having a tea party. They're not doing dress up. They're not playing war. They're just like doing things with blocks and falling over and stuff like babies do. But they call it, I love that term, parallel play. It sounds a little clinical, but it's a pretty good term. And I've realized that our evenings at home should be a form of parallel play. As this is yet another thing where I've realized I need to make sure I'm not being too ego assertive. And with Madeline, like, she's been fucking working all day. She's been talking to like professionals, like really annoying doctors, like all day, actual doctors who went to medical school. That's who she works with, and not medievalists. I mean, they might be medievalists on the side, but they're primarily medical doctors. And Billy works real hard, and Madeline just wants to look at, whatever. She just wants to flip through her phone and look at things and unwind. And you know what she doesn't need, I've realized, is me going like, oh, did you recognize that Daenerys's brother was also in that really good episode of Doctor Who where the doctor has to hide by having his memory erased and working at the school, and Martha works there too.
I bet that's
and she goes,
fine.
And she goes, what? And I was like, never mind. But you know what I realized about Billy? He's doing parallel play too. He's just flipping through TikTok, but I think I suspect also kind of when he's the day is winding down and he's kind of catching up with friends from the day and probably posting pictures of things and like doing the kinds of things like when you're on vacation and you're out for the day, you come home at night and then you like, there's usually like some kind of like ritual for the end of the day, like Syracuse is showing the photos from the day or whatever. And I realized that, and I had a nice little gentle moment with myself, which is like, I'm fortunate to have this period of time where we're all together in a room doing parallel play, and I want to be a good supporter of the parallel play, and I don't need to be the conductor of it. And I think that's going to make me better at it.
Huh. I think this might have been another...
That's weirdly related to the challenge.
Yes, because I was going to say, like I've talked about our... Matt and I, we have airplane mode sometimes where we just are like, okay, don't bother each other unless it's important. I love that phrase, by the way.
I would love to start socializing that. That is such a good phrase.
Yeah. And
do you declare it, or is it just something you pick up?
We declare it because...
You say like, hey, can we do airplane mode for an hour?
Yeah. It's and we also have because screen time doesn't mean anything. We I guess do companionable play, but screen
what was
time.
Your phrase? Companionable silence? Is that your phrase?
I don't think it's mine, but that's what
I first heard you say it. And I love that phrase.
Yeah, like we'll do that, except it's with screens or books or whatever. And if it's something new, like when I wanted to like if one of us wants to introduce a show or whatever, it'll be, hey, this is a pay attention show. And
I totally know. And doesn't it vary also though, like based on like how many people are watching it? Because sometimes you're like, could everybody please shut up while I watch Succession, or whatever your version of that?
Yes, yeah. And then when when it's been like, oh nope, for, well, actually a good example now is I am re-watching *Halt and Catch Fire*, but like really watching it, and Matt has already seen it, so he is just hanging out and doing phone time.
The thing is, you're making such a great point, Alex, but it's important to realize and accept and sort of announce a thing that you're saying, which is, however we watched this together before, this time's going to be different. Because on the one hand, there's one person over here who, like, if they had their druthers, probably wouldn't want to watch it again.
Right.
But there's another person over here who's like, I'm not only going to watch it again, but I'm super going to pay attention. Like, at that point, you've now forked that project a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's important, but more importantly, to communicate with each other. So Matt will ask,
you guys
hey,
are great
can
at
I
that.
bother you
All your people
during
are
this?
great
I'm
at
like,
that.
yes, I can.
Yeah.
Yes, my people are good at that, because no one taught us how to, and so we had to figure things out. But he'll be like, hey, can I bother you during this? I'm like, yes, because I've seen it, and you know, even though I'm watching it, my brain is open, and that's our way of, I suppose, getting someone excited about something. And with like the LLM thing, like, it is a bit, and it's kind of like he doesn't care about how I finally got a Python script to play Snake in a browser or any of that, but I let him loose with but spoiler, actually, he has been into ChatGPT a ton, because he does little games and like branching trees.
So you're playing Snake in Python on a web browser, is that right?
Yeah, you just
do you end up opening it in different tabs
in VS Code? So it just...
So you don't put it in spaces, you put it in tabs.
I see what you're doing. And I don't know. I just copy and paste it. So maybe spaces and tabs. But anyway, I mean, I just got him excited.
But you've said it. You've normalized. You've made it okay to have conversations like that. And sometimes it could just be like, I mean, there's all kinds of code to pick up from people. And again, if you only look at what the words are and what people are saying, it's all very, very, very complicated. Sometimes you just can say things like, I mean, I didn't catch this as a kid, but there's a lot of this in a person's family that you don't pick up until you're older. Like, for example, I know that my entire life, my grandparents would take a nap every afternoon. And as I have gotten older, I've really thought, oh, that's really smart, and I admire that. Sometime after lunch, sometime around like 1 or 2, they'd sleep for an hour. And of course, if you experienced that, because I'd be visiting with them, sometimes I was actually staying with them, and it was always like, okay, we're gonna go take our naps, and like you have to be quiet out here. And
hold on. Okay, go ahead. I don't know what the fuck is for the after show. Can we do Zoom? Because I don't know. Just
so you're doing that thing again. It's like when you asked me if it's okay to put the show out on Thursday.
No. Okay, it's different. It's different.
It's really not. It's really not. This is the second time this week I've had to use this app, and in both instances, I don't understand why people use this app. Right now, there's a pop-up on my. First of all, this is the largest non-dismissible giant-ass screen I've ever seen. You can only make the Riverside in the app. And I'm sorry, I know I'm acquainted with somebody who works there. I'm not saying this to be mean, but this is like not something that a real person uses. It is probably, it's the size of like a 5x7 card. It's this giant thing that you cannot make any smaller. Okay. It's really, really bad. There's that whole thing of like, oh yeah, like as you'll see in a minute here, don't close it too soon or we won't get to the person, which is really Bush League. But also, right now, still from the time we started recording an hour ago or whatever, it says keep the app open while we upload. Stay here until your recording is done uploading so your host gets the full file. Now, first of all, straight out the box, that's going to make me very resistant to like clicking around and noodling around because I don't want to retroactively destroy our recording. But I can't dismiss it. It won't go away. Okay? But here's what is under it. Is a modal that says, how was your studio session? And it has a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And all what I'm really looking for, my answer to that is, where's the Xbox to dismiss this? But that didn't work, so I clicked on the down thumb because of the two. That was definitely closer to my thumb. And then it says, hey, let's talk about what you didn't like about it. And it's one of those things where it's all grayed out unless you actually like interact with it. And I didn't want to interact with it. I think eventually I didn't even want to like submit anything because I don't want to be a dick about it. All I want is this. This is not a comment about your product. It's a comment about like, I just don't want this on my screen right now. But it's still there because I can't get rid of it.
I think it's a comment on the product and a good one. I mean, it's kind of like I don't know anyone who works here, but I don't know if it's connected.
He's a very nice guy. He's a very nice guy,
anything.
and yes, he's a very good podcast boy.
But I really want to know if it's connected.
I really
to
want to know why you
something.
continue to use this app. I would love you to get somewhere beyond. Like, it's easy for you in some weird way. There is absolutely nothing about this. Everything about this app is less reliable and less fault tolerant than Zoom. And I absolutely don't understand why you think this is good.
I mean, it is, well, one, cheaper. Two, it's standard.
We can use my account.
All right,
I have a Zoom account.
Then let's use your account.
Oh shit! Did we just
problem solved? There
Alex,
you go.
can I just say words
Ding,
communication?
ling.
No,
Okay.
honey, please.
I'm
Wow.
Sorry.
Wow.
Bush
I mean,
league,
just because
bush
you made
league.
contact, you can still foul out. You didn't like exactly put that in the bleachers. I don't think you deserve a ding for that. I wandered around for an hour and eventually was less sad. Ding.